Good afternoon, Professor Pankaj Jain, Professor Romesh Singh, students, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. There must be some joy to making the same speech over and over again. There is some merit in the idea of repetition. But I think it's, as I said last time, it's an important piece of repetition that I indulge in every single time I stand here, to genuinely and very warmly welcome the guest who's come here to give the distinguished lecture this afternoon. It's Professor Pankaj Jain from Flame University. But also to say to our guest and other guests who have come, who are not part of the university community here, that it's the School of Social Sciences that has represented truth, intellectual rigor, knowledge, beauty, love, wisdom, civility, decency for the past 50 years. And it is because of them, it's my belief, that it's because of them that the university has gained legitimacy, visibility, and to a great extent, the exposure that every university craves for. So I think as it's a celebration of ideas, which we will see with Professor Jain's lecture, it's also a celebration of what the social and the human sciences stand for. And I welcome you and ask you to be participants in that celebration. A very warm welcome to all of you. Very warm welcome to Professor Jain. I now invite Professor Romesh Singh, Head of the Department Anthropology, to introduce the guest and chair this session. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone, and I welcome on behalf of School of Social Science and Department of Anthropology, I welcome you all for today's distinguished lecture. I'm happy to be here to introduce the distinguished speakers of today. But before starting the introduction of our speaker today, I would like to request all of you to give a big round of applause to our Dean, Professor Jyotirmaya sir, for making this distinguished series possible. And I would say that who has begun to transform the images of School of Social Science in University of Hyderabad, which never, because I've been here for the last 17 to 18 years in this university as a faculty, as a student, I don't want to tell, okay? But I have been into social science, and social science has been looked in a different perspective by the other schools in the university, and we are like in the periphery all the time, and we keep shouting and here and there, and then nothing happens. But what I could see is that after he took up the internship, we have seen lots of changes which is happening all across the university campus, and some of the schools started imitating what we have been doing today. Like this distinguished lecture series, I believe that now management school has started. Science are already writing the proposal to IOE. They know that it's extended for 1 year. So this is how, and he's the one personality where earlier I still remember that School of Social Science has difficulty to float 2 foundation courses. Head of department and centers head to quarrel like Saas bhi bahut hi type, no? To float 2 foundation course, and surprisingly, this time sir has managed to float 7 foundation course from our School of Social Science only in the university. See how he managed and how interact with the people, no? And even our relationship in the school has become very flexible, very harmonious today. There, in spite of, otherwise it was not so good in the sense that people are not so united. But today, after he took up the deanship, I think we are in a good shape, and I am also enjoying my headship. So that is what. And now I am coming to today's. No, I am coming to that. I have one whole page for that. Okay, now coming to and I my great honor to be, introduce today's distinguished speaker, Professor Pankaj Jain, whom I know for the last 6-7 years, and I have very close relationship with him. And he was the one who hosted me in the United States of America when I went for the fellowship program. And it's not that because of that I have invited him. No, I have invited him because of his intellectual writings on certain issues, which that's why I thought that this knowledge has to be disseminated to our, academic community here also. That's the reason why I have invited him on genuine condition. When sir asked me to give some of the names from every department, so I gave his name, so that I thought that his ideas should reach out to some of the audience here also. So now to start with his profile, Professor Pankaj Jain, is a renowned academic leader and international recognition in the field of sustainability, Jain studies, and film studies and diaspora studies. With over 30 years of experience in academia and the corporate world, he holds position of head of department for humanities and languages. He served as a chair of the Indian Center for Flam University. And before joining Flam University, he was an associate professor in Department of Philosophy and Religion and the Department of Anthropology, University of North Texas. And he earned, to mention that his beginning of his career is quite unusual from other people like us here, because he started his career as a software engineer, that too from the Hyderabad city. And then he went to US, and then he left the software engineer field, and then he get into the academic line, and he pursued masters in Columbia University in religious study, and then went on to do PhD in University of Iowa. And then his book Dharma and Ecology, which was published by Routledge publisher, and it got some Daman award also during that time. And he has written many books. Some of the books which I would like to mention here is that Encyclopedia of Indian Religion, which was published by Springer, and Indian and Western Philosophical Concept in Religion, which is also done by Springer, and the Modern Jainism, a historical approach, Dharma in America, a short history of Hindu-Jain diaspora. This is also by Routledge. And then Socio-Religious Revolution in India, Moving the Mountain. It's also Routledge publisher. All the books he has written in this. And then I would like, especially our social science student, to read two of his articles, which was published in the Visual Anthropology. The one is Parosi to My Name is Khan, the portrayal of Hindu-Muslim relation in South Asian films, which was published in the Visual Anthropology, and Sara Jahan Hamara, Indian film and their portrait of foreign destinations. These are the two articles which was published in Visual Anthropology, one in 2011, one in 2019. And he is a Fulbright Nehru Scholarship for Environmental Leadership. And recently he just completed Indian Advanced Studies Fellowship. And he was interviewed by Morgan Freeman, that Hollywood actor, on one section on National Geographic Channel on the story of God. And many platforms he has been very active. And I can go on, and he has published many articles in reputed international journals on Dharma, Ecology, Jain. And his focus presently, his more interest is on film, classical musics, Indian classical films, and Indian religion, so on. So I can keep on going, but sir, I welcome you to the University of Hyderabad, and it's our privilege to have you, and I would request you to kindly deliver your lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Romesh Singh. We used to have lunch every Friday together for 1 year in Texas, where he came in Dallas. My friend, colleague, Professor Siddharth Satpathy is also here from your university English department, and thank you, Dean, for inviting me. It's a privilege to come back to my spiritual birthplace, Hyderabad, where I was here in 94, 95. Ramakrishna Mutt I used to visit and learnt a lot that time, and that was a very inspiring place. So really happy and privileged to be back in the cyber city, where there is no cyber net, there is no internet. Anyway, so that's fine. That's Indian reality, but we always find jugaad and we keep moving ahead. Right, so this is a work that I am especially proud of, because it connects me back to my own roots, literally, figuratively. I was born in Rajasthan many, many years back, but I went back to my home state for my PhD research from the University of Iowa. And some field work in Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh border regions. Done some time back, but still relevant. So I thought I'll present that today. Indian Culture and Ecology, Dharma and Ecology of Hindu Community. It's a summary of that book, also my first book. I'll tell you about these two figures as we progress here. Next slide. So yeah, before we get into that, we should take a look at today's imperialism in the world is imperialism of categories. I'm not saying that. That was said by Professor Suzanne Rudolph in 2005. She gave a presidential address at Association of Asian Studies, in which she noticed some categories, how they are imposed on India or any non-Western culture. For example, Max Weber, sociologist, said what? West is agentic, East is fatalistic. Karam mein jo hoga, wo jo likha hai, wohi hoga. Aise. Right? Talcott Patterson says status is achieved in the West by achievement, by accomplishments. In the East, by birth. That is caste system, I think he's referring to. John Stuart Mill said, West is matured civilization, East is childlike. So these categories, these stereotypes, these biases are coming to us for centuries now. And even as late as 2005, it's still happening and probably happening still today. Right? So how do we challenge that? How do we challenge these imperialism of categories? Next, please. So one example. One way to look at the environmental performance of different countries is, for example, done by Yale University in the US, in Connecticut. And India comes at 177. Rank is 177 out of 200 or more countries. India is pushed back as a horribly environmental country. Environmental performance very bad in India, and because of obvious reasons, traffic and pollution and water pollution and so on and so forth. Next. But if we turn the table and look at the categories from Indian perspective, from Asian perspectives, done by National Geographic now. National Geographic says India is the greenest economy, environmentally performing very well. Now, two different images, which one is right, which one is wrong? I thought that to challenge imperialism of categories, we can probably turn the table and say that environmental performance should be measured not just by air quality, of course that's important, water quality and soil quality and all that, but also per capita carbon footprint. And that when we count carbon footprint per capita, Indian carbon footprint per capita is still one of the lowest, probably the lowest compared to many economies in the world, Russia, China, Australia, France, UK, Canada, even Mexico and Brazil. Our per capita carbon footprint is lower than most of the major economies in the world. So from that perspective, we can still be called as the greenest economy in the world. Next, please. Two examples. So that carbon footprint being very low, two unique examples that we find only in India. Right? One is the example of, by no means I'm saying all Indians are vegetarians, but per capita meat consumption in India is lower than Kenya, China, UK, Canada, Brazil and US. So India is at the bottom here, almost as late as 2013. As late as 2013, our per capita carbon footprint, because of per capita meat consumption, was much, much lower than many economies in the world, many countries in the world, even lower than Kenya. Right? Then the minimalism. Per person car ownership, Indian car ownership is less than, of course, China, Indonesia, South Korea, many countries, Mexico. Why we chose to be when I say we, I'm trying to be very careful. That of course we know that this is changing very fast. So some of these things are changing very fast, but at least until 2013, the data says that because of some of these things, our per capita carbon footprint remained lower than many countries in the world. That is what I was trying to show. So GreenDex. GreenDex is the green index of the major economies in the world. Okay. So these are the ground reality, at least as late as 2013, just 10 years back. The reality shows that something unique is going on in India as late as 2013. All right, next slide, please. Okay, no. Yeah. Perhaps based on the cultural habits of many people in India, millions of people, for example, I've been to more than a dozen countries in the world. Probably many of you have been also globe travelers. what we find is that the tradition of vegetarianism we find only in India. Nowhere else in the world we find vegetarians by choice, by culture. Right? That's one. Second, this idea of sannyas or minimalism, we find only in India. You know, even when I was teaching in the US for more than a decade, I used to start with this joke that if I paint my face with red or blue color and I renounce all my clothing and have a stick in my hand, and if I have a begging bowl and if I stand in the middle of a street, I can guarantee that I will not sleep hungry. People will pour me with food and money. That support to sannyasis is so ingrained in our DNA that nowhere else in the world you find so many sannyasis that are supported out of the, again, cultural habits of traditional Indians at least. So based on sannyasa and shakahar, ahimsa and sannyasa, those cultural habits contribute to why our country per capita carbon footprint remains very low. That's my humble submission. And I'll show that with some fieldwork that I did in Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and so on. All right, so dharmic ecology. So I start with the two figures that I showed in the beginning, 1490s and 1940s. In 1490, Guru Jambheshwar was born. His lifetime was 1451 to 1536. Maybe I can move it. No? Okay. Anyway, so he was the founder of Bishnois. Bishnois are called as 29ers because they have 29 rules that they live by. Guru Jambheshwar, Guruji. Then Swadhyaya movement that started in 1940, and Swadhyaya simply means self-study movement, new religious movement, started in 20th century, founded by Pandurang Shastri Athavale in Maharashtra, in Mumbai. So his time frame was 1920 to 2003, and the movement started in 1940s. These two examples I'm showing, the examples of cultural, dharmic ecology and how it connects with ecology, dharmic traditions and how it connects with ecology. Next, please. So, where do we find Bishnois? Bishnois are usually found in Rajasthan, the desert area, but also in some other states of, even some in Odisha apparently, your state, and Madhya Pradesh and Haryana and so on. All right, next, please. Yeah. So the origin, how did Bishnoi movement start? Bishnoi movement started around 1485, when there was a long drought. In Rajasthan, there is a tradition of drought for 5 years, 6 years. There was not a single drop of water. Right? So in that scenario, Guru Jambheshwar had a mystical experience. He went into Dhyan, he went into Samadhi, had a mystical experience, and when he came out, he gave these 29 rules to his people, and people started joining his movement. That's how Bishnoi community started. This is the place where his Samadhi is still maintained in Rajasthan, in the middle of Rajasthan, in Bikaner district in Rajasthan. Next, where I went for the fieldwork. All right, so 29 rules and 120 statements, shabdas. Shabdas means statements. So in that, what I found as I was translating, mine is the first translation in English based on Rajasthani Hindi to English, published as part of my PhD in 2008. Overlapping of dharma. What we find is, he's talking about, 15th century, early 15th century, long before climate change, biodiversity, global warming, none of those were even part of any lexicons, right? But what he was telling his followers was, we have to protect the environment. We have to practice personal hygiene. Imagine the desert of Rajasthan. He's telling his followers, you have to take bath every day. Taking bath every day was not the tradition around the world that time, and probably not even in the desert. But he comes up with these rules: personal hygiene, spirituality, chant the name of Vishnu chanting, and personal and social morality. So dharma word he uses in all these contexts. Dharma is not just rituals. Protect the environment, that is your dharma. 15th century, early 15th century. Protect the environment. Practice personal hygiene. Practice spirituality. Chant the name of Vishnu. Right? And then personal and social. Do not kill. Do not lie. All that became part of his 29 rules. Next, please. So, this is my translation from his original words. If you remember you see the ecological connection behind what he's saying. What he's saying is, if you remember that the divinity residing in your heart also resides in animals, you will surely achieve heaven. You will not be able to justify the violence when questioned by your own deities. Now we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and so on. It is fashionable to say I love my fellow being or fellow human beings or animals and so on. He is citing Vedanta's philosophy or Upanishadic philosophy of seeing divinity in every particle of the universe, including animals. So by that token, we are all one family. So you should not hurt animals. And he's talking to everybody. He's talking to Hindus, Muslims. Already they're part of Rajasthan, Punjab especially. Hindus are there, Muslims are there. He's talking to everybody. Without using the word Vedanta or Upanishad, he's talking about telling that principle that can protect the animals, that can protect the trees, and so on. Yes. Thanks. So saying is one thing and doing is other thing. So he said all those things. What he did is different. What he did is this. He actually built water harvesting sites. Early 15th century Rajasthan, villages of desert. Now it's fashionable, right? The rainwater harvesting we should do and so on. Early 15th century Rajasthan, imagine, without any science, without any philosophy, without any Sanskrit, he's doing these things in his work, in his life. He's planting trees. Thousands of trees he plants across the desert of Rajasthan, tree plantation. Animal and bird sanctuaries that are maintained even today. After 5 centuries, Bishnois are still protecting those bird sanctuaries and animal sanctuaries. Birds are still coming, animals are still coming and enjoying free, of course, free and water and food and whatnot. Next, please. Then, very interesting. World's, when I mentioned this word tree hugger, what is a tree hugger? You know this word, tree hugger? Many students here, so I will ask students. Tree hugger is a very serious thing for Indians, right? For India and Indians. But if I mention tree hugger in America, my American student would laugh. It's like a joke. Oh, tree hugger are crazy hippies. They're all drug addicts or whatever. I don't know. So it's a very pejorative term in English in America. But world first tree hugger was a Rajasthani woman, Amrita Devi. She hugged her khejdi tree as Jodhpur soldiers came to cut some khejdi tree. And she sacrificed her life. And with her, 363 men, women and children were all killed by Jodhpur soldiers, king's royal soldiers. And so first tree hugger, first environmental martyr is a woman, Amrita Devi, from Bishnoi community. Very interesting. There is no historical evidence, by the way, but by hagiography, by songs, by Rajasthani language, poets, they recorded all these facts, and that's what I share here. Next, please. Okay, that story of Amrita Devi, that legend of Amrita Devi has now become an American children's book also, written by Deborah Lee Rose, and is now, you can find that book on Amazon. Stories travel far and wide now, especially environmental stories, right? People are looking for inspiration, how to inspire children to become more environmentally friendly. And so by the teachings of the Guru, Bishnois are vegetarians. Bishnois take care of their cattle, they take care of their birds. You must have known the famous incident of Salman Khan. You might have seen the film Hum Saath Saath Hain. When Hum Saath Saath Hain was being shot near Jodhpur, Salman Khan, Saif Ali Khan, Neelam and Tabbu, right? They were shooting near Jodhpur, a village called Kankani, where they went and shot a black buck, a species of deer. And so first people to rush at the spot and catch Salman Khan and hand over to police was Bishnoi people. So that's just one example. There are dozens of such examples where Bishnois laid down their lives to protect animals and birds and trees and so on. So that's what I was showing. All right, you okay? Now, so Indian government back in 90s started a new award called Amrita Devi Award to honor people who are working for the environment. So the award is named after a Bishnoi woman. Award is given mostly to Bishnoi people because they are at the forefront of saving the environment, animals, trees and so on. Salman Khan I already talked about. This is from a documentary in which a Bishnoi senior citizen is proudly saying that his son was killed by some hunter or poacher, and he's very proud that that son was sacrificed for the environment, following the practice of Guru Jambeshwar, teachings of Guru Jambeshwar. That's an award-winning picture of a Bishnoi woman nurturing a deer cub and her own child with the same love. Then now I show you the second community now. Swadhyay community that started in Mumbai but spread, the followers, mostly practitioners, were all in Rajasthan and Gujarat and Maharashtra. Next, please. So, origin Swadhyay, 1942, when Pandurang Shastri Athavale started speaking on the Upanishads, Vedas and the Bhagavad Gita. And he talked about the same idea that a non-Sanskritist, Guru Jambeshwar, who probably didn't know a single word of Sanskrit, was talking about indwelling God, that divinity in every heart. And here is a Sanskrit scholar, of course, he is talking about the same Vedantic philosophy of divinity in every heart, indwelling God. Now that divinity can be a devotional force. How to inspire that divinity to work for societal transformation. Devotion is social force. Devotional activism. We all want to be activists, right? We want to change the world. But how to take inspiration from original teachings of India that you don't find anywhere else in the world? How to use those teachings, those dharmic elements of our cultural traditions, how to use those to inspire people to become activists for societal transformation. Yeah, next please. So, what he talked about is this. He said that we have to form relationships based on devotion, not based on religion, not based on caste, not based on profit, pleasure or principle. Caste or religion he put under principle, not ideology, not political parties, but by devotion. Because devotion is common across all tradition in the world. That's what his words were. Next please. So, then he inspired his people, his listeners, his audience, his followers to go into remote villages of Rajasthan, of Gujarat. I keep saying Rajasthan, but Gujarat. Saurashtra ke villages. Devotional visits. Most of the fisher community in Gujarat, many are Hindus, Muslims, all mixed up. But you go as a devotional, you go as your expression of your devotion and go and meet those people. Devotional visits. Then create new socio-spiritual shrines in the temple. In a shrine where there is no particular priest. Any gender, any caste can be priest by rotation. So every day new priest, and the entire village comes together. An entire village offers their wealth to that temple. We were just talking actually with the dean. The temple is not just for rituals. Temple is a socio-spiritual center of the village, where entire village comes together. They discuss their mutual problems, their farming problems, any issue, the common issues. They discuss at the temple. And together they come together as a community at the temple. The temple was called as Amritalayam. That was the second experiment that he started, still going on in Gujarat. And ocean worship, like I said, any religion, any caste, but to express your gratitude towards ocean. Ocean means ecology, right? Environment. Dairy industry, expression of gratitude towards cattle. Expression of gratitude towards tree temples. So, tree temple I visited, there is no murti, there is no mandir, but entire garden, entire orchard is taken as a mandir. And you take care of trees as if trees are your deities. Any religion you can be, but when you express your gratitude towards tree, whatever outcome comes from those trees, any fruits that comes out of those trees, chiku or mango or whatever, you sell as common village product, almost like cooperative, but it's more the spiritual cooperative. So you sell those fruits, Mahalakshmi that you gather, you use it for village upliftment. Any widow or any so-called disabled person, you can devote that divine wealth among the needy people in the village. Again, village comes together and you green the village by more gardens, more farms. Similarly, farms of God. You can grow whatever, paddy or wheat or whatever, but the income that comes again is treated like a divine wealth, and wealth is used for upliftment of the villages. Water harvesting. If you quench the thirst of Mother Earth will quench your thirst. That was the slogan given by Swadhyay. So they created, again, we're talking 1980s, when rainwater harvesting was not in vogue. At least in cities, we didn't know what rainwater harvesting was. Nobody was practicing, but they were doing that in 1980s. So, devotion and its byproduct. So they say that, if you ask them, are you environmentalists? Are you social activists? No, we are just bhakta, we are devotees. Any impact that happens on the society or the environment is just a byproduct. We are just expressing our devotion. That was their line. Prayog, experiments for farmers to express their reverence for divinity. Current Swadhyay leader, Dhanashree Talwalkar, lives in Mumbai. So, water harvesting I was talking about. Recharging the wells, more than 100,000. Harvesting water in ponds, about 1,000. If you quench the thirst of Mother Earth, she will quench yours. Next, please. So, how do you inspire villagers who may not be, of course, they have not read Sanskrit philosophy or whatever, they are not philosophers, but they have this faith. How do you use faith to make them, as a byproduct, environmentalist? How do you do that? Reason-based religion. So, Pandurang Shastri Athavale is talking to farmers here in this picture. So, he says, there is capillary action, right? Water, what is capillary action? You're giving water to the roots of a plant. Water rises against gravitation and reaches the top. So, that in Gujarati or Sanskrit, the word is Kesha Karshan. So, he says, funnily, this is not Kesha Karshan, this is Keshava Karshan. Just like word kar do, Keshava Akarshan. Divinity in plants. It is divine force that makes water rise against gravitation. So you have to revere plants as if they're divine. So that became the philosophy for those divine tree temples in Gujarat. Next, please. Then, those who are vanprasthis or retired people will go there and take care of the trees. Those who are going as a monthly basis or weekly basis were called as pujaris. Retired people, pujaris. Pujaris is not by caste, right? It's again turn by turn, turn-wise. They produce as prasad. You sell the outcome of those farms. That wealth becomes divine wealth. Next, please. All right. So one who goes to farms just for work is a farmer. One who goes to enjoy and respect greenery goes with reverence and gratitude for God. This reverential perspective inspires to make the entire world green. If that reverence enters our, whatever religion, caste, whatever, but that reverence as a gratitude for the environment will make the entire world green, was the wording from one of the key leaders of the movement. Next, please. This is from US in New Jersey. When I was in New Jersey, I took this picture. Annual tree plantation activities. So you buy a small plant. That plant becomes your family members for 6 months. You chant slogans and hymns and sing devotional songs and so on with the plant, as if the plant is your family member. Then you plant that plant in your backyard. So you teach that bonding with ecology, bonding with plants and nature, trees to American kids. How do you teach that? You practice this at your home. Practicing is the best way of preaching to American kids, Hindu kids, but American kids in America. So that happened in New Jersey. All these are the awards. 1979 was their first tree temples, long before climate change and so on. 87 Wasteland Awards, same reason, right? Greening the land. Magsaysay Award given in Philippines, 96. Templeton Prize is the biggest award in the world, bigger than Nobel Prize in terms of monetary award. Nobel Prize, I was told, I think is $1 million. This is $1.2 million, just to make sure it's larger than. So it is given to only 3 Indians so far. Dr. Radhakrishnan, I think, Mother Teresa, and Pandurang Shastri Athavale, for doing something innovative in the field of religion. That's the idea. Then after you get international award, then Indian government wakes up and gives you Padma Vibhushan in 1999. To 2000 were 24th tree temple, and Didi, his daughter, is now leading the movement. Next week. So what I found in these 2 examples that I showed you, Bishnois and Swadhyayis, is that they're using the word dharma for in different contexts. Dharma takes a different meaning. This is what was found by Waitman and Pandey in UK. 2 linguists. They did some field work. What they found is that dharma is used for religion in all Indian languages, not just Hindi or Sanskrit, but Tamil, Telugu, Gujarati, Marathi, Odia, any language you take, Malayalam. Dharma word has so many meanings. Dharma word has the meaning of religion, physical property, duty. So dharma word or dharma category is a nice intersection of religious things, physical characteristics, and ethical duties. Right? Supernatural, natural, and human. That intersection, that sweet spot can connect people's faith and people's devotions and so on to environmental activism, is what I try to show you in these two communities. Next, please. So what they're telling these 2 religious leaders, both of them, what they're telling their followers is not to become environmentalists, but to learn from nature, learn dharma from trees. How trees, what virtues trees have, what virtues Mother Nature has. How is always giving people, right? Trees are always giving us, right? Everything. So you learn those virtues, become better human being. Better human being will automatically take care of the environment. By becoming better human, if you learn Manav Dharma, Manushya Dharma, your dharma for environment will take care of by itself, as a byproduct. Environmentalism to preserve the nature will come as a byproduct. Next, please. So now I'm quoting famous anthropologist in Syracuse University in New York, Anne Gold, Professor Anne Gold. What she says, what she did is, for 30 years, she did a longitudinal study in a small village in Ajmer in Rajasthan. What she found is very interesting. Human behaviors are irrevocably interwoven with the natural environment's condition. The deterioration of one implies and involves the other. This is coming from so-called illiterate villagers in Rajasthan, or it could be anywhere in India. What villagers are saying is, we are losing trees because we are becoming greedy. When we lose our morality, ecology also suffers our impact. That's what she's quoting there. Then Marriott and Linden, from Chicago, Appa Rao from New York, Frederick Smith from Iowa, all these people are saying, senior scholars are saying similar things. The distinction between mind and body, humanity and nature, essence, idea, quality, and deity would be largely one of degree rather than of kind. It's a continuous spectrum. There is no watertight compartment where this is secular, this is religion, this is culture, this is nature, or this is human, this is nature. It's a overlap, intertwined world of ethics and environmentalism and religion. It's all overlapping and intertwined. That is what they are saying. All right, next please. So, ecology, this I'm quoting now Vijaya Nagarajan from UCLA. We were talking about Vinay Lal last hour. She's at UCLA in California. Vijaya Nagarajan says, she quotes Carl Polanyi and says that ecological notions, beliefs and practices are embedded in cultural forms, particularly in religious and aesthetic practices and institutions. Religious and cultural traditions of India or many, many countries across the world already have embedded notions of revering nature, taking care of trees, plants, and so on. As I showed you in these two examples, that is what she's saying, Vijaya Nagarajan, in her book her book is on rangolis. Why women are celebrating rangolis outside their homes, especially in South India, especially in your Andhra, probably Andhra and Tamil Nadu and Kerala and so on, because of some inherent notion of celebrating the nature. Yes. So Dharmic ecology as a theory can include these principles of Vasudevam Sarvam, Avatara. I can go in more detail if there are questions, but probably you all know already. Ahimsa, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is Vasudevam. This is Vasudhaivam. Vasudhaiv is different. Vasudev is different, and I can explain if you need to differentiate the two words. Sarva Bhuta Hite Rata and Karma. Next, please. There could be one lecture on each word, but I'm going ahead. So Dharmic ecology says that nature is not just for upyog or upabhog. It is not for usage. It is not just for consumption, but it is for upasana. Prakriti is for upasana. Prakriti is not just for upyog or upabhog. Which matches what Gaia hypothesis inspired by Greek philosophy says. Similar things. Reverence for life coming from Christianity also says similar things. And land ethics from Aldo Leopold in the US. So next, please. These are some of my books. And this is my marketing page. But we can go back to Dharmic ecology page. Yeah, probably we can see. Yeah. If any questions we can take. Otherwise, that was my brief presentation. I could have gone more in detail, but short and sweet, I think I will keep. Thank you.
So I think, thank you, sir, for your lecture. Now we'll take a few questions from the audience. Questions should be very brief, I request.
Thank you so much, Professor Jain. And I have heard you before, and my expectations were fulfilled in the sense the range and the kinds of questions, themes that come up in your lectures are quite exhilarating. Coming from a literary studies background, I have a question. What kind of textual materials do these communities generate? If tradition is something that would be, that is continuously changing and continuing at the same time, so textual production do play a role.
Yes.
In terms of how it gets communicated.
Like almost all religions, it starts verbally, orally.
Yeah.
So they are called as shabdas, like words, shabdas. They're not books, shabdas. So they orally transfer to next generation for centuries. Then they are written first time by hagiography. And then we come as in English from English background. And so we translate from traditional languages into English, Rajasthani into English. Similarly, Swadhyay similarly. Only thing is unique or interesting Swadhyay is that from 1950s onwards, they started video recording every Sunday pravachan given on Upanishads or Bhagavad Gita or Rigved. His followers recorded every word that he spoke, the founder. But all in Gujarati, Marathi, Hindi. And then again I come and translate into English. So very completely oral and verbal.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this talk. I have a little question on the theme that when you said that the idea of ahimsa or they were proclaiming it, and it's at that point of time when there was no ecology, the understanding of ecology, they were saying it. I was wondering that we have a past where perhaps if we can go back to Ashokan inscriptions or to Kautilya's Arthashastra, and also to Mahabharata, where we have at the one hand, we have the idea of Abhihisa Bhutanam, non-injury to animals in the Ashokan inscriptions, and Anishangsya in the Mahabharata. So Anisangsya is very important, and I think perhaps, and these yogis or gurus, they must have read the Mahabharata. So I think until there is some kind of understanding of our past, which is reflected then in their understanding of or in the thought process.
Yes, definitely, very, very true. Ahimsa Parmo Dharma comes from Mahabharata, from the Mahabharata. And of course, Ashoka had his edicts written all over the world, all over India, all over South Asia. If you went to Gujarat, if you went to Girnar, has anybody went to Girnar? Girnar, as you enter the village, there is actually Ashoka edict. And of course, in Bhubaneswar, there is Ashoka edict. So, of course, in Akbar also did the same, right? On the monthly basis, he prohibited hunting and so on. So, definitely, I guess I'm still using the American context in which there was, when I say in English, there is no phrase as such as climate change or saving the biodiversity or global warming. And of course, but India had long traditions of ahimsa and vegetarian and so on. Exactly. Yes. Inherent notions, definitely.
So, just one question: the colonial influences regarding we all know that these are all our past, and still we practice without understanding the proper philosophy behind this. But in a global platform, when sometimes we exaggerate, sometimes we fail to acknowledge in a global platform the philosophies and the foundations which we acknowledge and we see every day. So how the colonial influences, and how can we move forward to decolonize our mindsets towards this? Our approach, I appreciate the department for giving the title, because talking about Indian culture itself in academia is controversial. So please give some light towards this.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, organize more such lecture series and just keep an open mind and learn the languages. Like we were joking a little bit that we are forgetting our own languages. We don't know English properly, and we don't know our own languages properly also. Forget about Sanskrit, Prakrit, Pali or so on. अपनी हिंदी, तेलुगु, मराठी, गुजराती वही भूल रहे हैं हम. तो उसके बिना कैसे? Without language, you are losing the. I'm a very proud Hindi medium product, and I still think in Hindi, write in Hindi after all these books and after being a US citizen and so on. But as long as I have as long as I have bridge to my language, I still have connection with my culture. So that is, I think, first thing. Second is, I think you read all kinds of perspectives. You have now rich literature available from all background, all nationalities and so on. So India is a unique country where our culture has been critiqued by so many people. So many people have come from outside and written about us. Greeks have written about us, and Middle Eastern people and Christians and so on. So read everything. Lynn White's. Yes. Read my book. I have critiqued that paper. Yes. Lynn White is the trend setting or path breaking paper written in 1960s. Historical roots of our environmental crisis. That's what he's referring to. That launched a movement by Christian apologists. Because Lynn White said Christianity is the culprit for all environmental destruction across the world. So that led to a movement from Christianity to defend Christianity and say that no, we are very environmentally friendly religion. So, and that started a movement at Harvard University. They've organized a series of conferences on Christianity and environment, Islam and environment, Hinduism and ecology, Jainism and ecology, Buddhism and ecology, indigenous traditions and ecology, all came as a reaction to Lynn White. So again, keep an open mind, and we have to form our own conclusion. That's the whole rigor all about. That's the whole academic experience all about, that we read everything, but conclusion we are free to follow. That's the freedom we get in the liberal arts or social science.
बस इससे शुरू करूंगा कि इसकी जगह पे हम विदेशी लोग हिंदी सीख लेते हैं.
बहुत बढ़िया.
Okay, but, let me just thanks for the presentation. I was just wondering, how you would see, well, this competition about the, let's say, the fossil imprint and the green, who is more green than the other, that is of course a point of discussion. But if all the countries of the global south would reach the level, I mean, you can use it as an argument of justice. I mean, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But if this happens, we know that, I mean, it's gone. We know it's a severe ecological crisis we're living in. And my question is how I mean, I understand this assertiveness in your approach, but where is the transformating force really? No, when you look to the, let's say an Indian in New Jersey having the tree in his flat, of course you'll say he will plant it in his garden in the backyard. So in other words, he needs a backyard, what they call ranch in the US. So probably has a car. I would really severely doubt that the Indian fossil imprint of, let's say, of Indian immigrants in the US is less than the normal American, probably more because they're more affluent. And so where is the transformative force in all what you say in our present condition?
Great question. When, it's not by ethnicity, it's not by religion, it's by that culture's influence will influence whoever is coming to US, will increase the carbon footprint of that immigrant. But what immigrants can probably do, I'm not sure if they're doing it to the extent that they can do, is to, with humility and with a certain assertiveness, the word you used, but with humility also, that how this avoidance of meat, cultural choice behind avoidance of meat in the US may have inspired people to go more and more vegan in America in the last 20 years after Indians started invading in America in late 90s. Who knows? There is no study done properly. Similarly, minimalism movement. When I went to US in 1996, there was not even, I don't think there was any word like minimalism that time. Now it is becoming a movement. People by choice are living minimalist. खरीद सकते हैं सब कुछ, लेकिन बड़ी गाड़ी नहीं खरीदेंगे, बड़ा घर नहीं लेंगे, छोटे से छोटा घर लेंगे, छोटे से छोटे अपनी जरूरतों को कम रखेंगे. अमेरिका में ये हो रहा है. How is that minimalism and veganism becoming a sizable force in the US? I hope it becomes more and more stronger, those two movements. I think that, and it has to come back to India also. I started with sannyasa and shakahar, but I see, and I can't keep, I don't have my eyes closed, I have my eyes open, and I know that people are craving for bigger cars and bigger houses, even in India also. So minimalism, sannyasa that is, and vegetarianism, or avoidance of meat, especially red meat, right? We know how damaging that is for the environment. I think that has to come back, and when it comes from America, Indians will also listen. Okay, Americans are saying it must be true. So that's what has to happen.
So it appears to me that dharmic ecology and its practice is very much community oriented, or maybe driven by certain individuals who had certain experiences, like you mentioned of Guruji from Bishnoi community. And it, one thing which resounds again and again is that saving environment or / care for nature, and as humans we practice saving environment, which includes oceans, animals, everything. Is there any practice emerging or any thought emerging about from these communities who are practicing on confronting the larger systems of destruction of environment, or which actually challenges this entire practice of tree plantation, because the entire forests are getting uprooted? So any perspectives emerging from dharmic ecological practitioners on countering the large-scale destruction of forests? Yeah.
See, these are beautiful and rare, I think, role models that has to influence, I think, personal habits. It's a movement for transforming, reforming our habits. So it's a very bottoms-up approach. Right? What you are asking, I think, is a top-down approach where, yeah, you're right, your big forces come and they destroy forests and so on. That has to be fought, I think, at top-down level. So these are very, precious few little gardens that we have, still we have, I think, living gardens. And they're not just two communities, but many other communities, such as sacred groves, I think in Tamil Nadu, or many Kerala, and so on. So those sacred groves can't fight, big industrialists coming and buying the entire village and then, transforming that into, I don't know, some industrial town or so on. That's a totally different ballgame. That has to come from top-down approach.
Sir, there is a very famous environmentalist in Rajasthan. I'm sure you must have heard about him, Rajendra Singh.
Yeah.
He is also a Magsaysay Award winner.
Everybody knows about him.
And a famous water conservationist. Sir, have these ideas which you explained just now influenced him also?
No, I think he came from a different background, and he has done wonderful work, marvelous work of rainwater harvesting and creating tanks and so on. But they're different approach. Yes.
So thank you, sir, and thank you, audience, for asking some important questions. And now I invite my colleague, Dr. Appa Rao, to deliver the vote of thanks for this.
Thank you. Distinguished speaker, Professor Pankaj Jain, Dean, School of Social Sciences, Professor Jyotirmaya Sharma, Head, Department of Anthropology, Professor Romesh Singh, colleagues, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon. It is an honor and privilege to stand before you today to express our heartfelt gratitude for the enlightening lecture. On behalf of School of Social Sciences, Department of Anthropology, and the entire audience, I extend sincere gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Professor Pankaj Jain. His insights and expertise on Indian culture and ecology have left definitely an indelible mark on all of us. We are grateful for the thought-provoking addresser. Professor Jain has eloquently discussed the relationship between the ancient wisdom, the indigenous knowledge, and the kind of challenges that we are facing today, and how we can integrate the traditional approaches, traditional knowledge, to safeguard the environment. His clarity of thought and depth of knowledge are very significant and definitely captivated your minds. Sir, we are impressed by your insightful exploration of the intersection of, in a sense, spirituality, I don't know if I may call, sustainability, and also being responsible socially. Our heartfelt thanks to our beloved Dean, Professor Jyotirmaya Sharma, for a thoughtful initiative without whom the distinguished lecture series would not have been possible. He is instrumental in inviting speakers from diverse scholarly backgrounds and perspectives as well, diverse perspectives as well. Thank you, sir. Our special appreciation to the students, especially Prithvi, Satyaki, Gyaneshwar, Chiangmang, and Charan, for a wonderful, immensely planning, for meticulous planning and their tireless efforts for the success of this distinguished lecture. We are thankful to the Institute of Eminence, University of Hyderabad, and its director, Professor Ghanshyam Krishna, for financial support to make the event possible. And we also thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor for being a pillar of support for the activities of School of Social Sciences. A special appreciation to the staff of Dean's Office, Mr. Bhavani Shankar Garu, Rakesh, and others, and the staff of Department of Anthropology, and also staff of C.V. Raman Auditorium. Also, a sincere thanks to video recording team. They are recording wonderful videos of every distinguished lecture. Last but not the least, to our attentive audience, thank you for your active participation. Your engagement and enthusiasm enriched the discourse today. Let's carry forward the knowledge gained today and continue to pursue the pursuit of learning. Once again, let's applaud for Professor Pankaj Jain and express our deepest gratitude for his invaluable contribution. May his words resonate with us, inspiring future endeavors. Thank you, and may the spirit of learning continue to thrive. Thank you, everyone.
Can I make an announcement, please? Since you asked so few questions, Das Babu hasn't yet sent the tea and the snacks. So lurk around outside and it'll arrive within the next 5 to 6 minutes. He's very punctual, so it's not yet 4. But let's wait outside in the grove and wait for the tea.